Greetings. I'm Akira Sunchild. That is my public occultist, pagan, wizard, mage name, however you want to look at it. Uh, this is just a little video about a series of videos I'm going to be making on various occult and magical topics. I've been studying. I've been a student since the early 80s. My background is I started out equally in neo pagan studies, metaphysical studies, and ceremonial magic studies. The first books I remember reading are anything by Gerald Gardner, Ed Fitch, Doreen Valentia. I worked through Donald Michael Craig's Modern Magic, Dolores Ashcroft Nowicki, Dion Fortune, William Gray. There's an awful lot more. Isaac Bonwitz. I've read an awful lot since then, but you have to realize when I started, you really didn't have a lot of options. If you wanted to get Circle Network newsletter or Green Egg magazine, and you lived in the Bible Belt Midwest, and you lived with parents who believed otherwise and had right wing politics, then you'd have your subscription come in a brown paper bag or brown paper wrapping so that nobody knew what it was. We didn't have the internet we could go to. I remember considering studying with Georgian witches out in Bakersfield, California. I decided against it because I was living with my parents and it wasn't possible. So I had to do an awful lot of study, and then I'd go outside on the acreage and I'd try different experiments trying to do it. So I did it from the very beginning. I did a lot of ad-libbing because I couldn't have standard tools. And I did a lot of what you could call mental magic. But over the years, I seem to have always been both a student of the Eastern and Western mysteries. I started out in Taoism the same time I started studying Taoist Qigong work. Within a few years of studying magic in that, because I started taking a martial art. And then I moved into Druidism. I hung out with Andre Akfe Druids for about 8-10 years. And I was a student of Tibetan Buddhism for about 20 years. I've sort of moved back into the quasi-Druidic energies because I still work with the Merlin and the Arthurians, and I'm still interested in. I've always used the Celtic tree runes. I've used them in slightly different format than a lot of people teach it, but I see it as a way to directly connect with the earth and nature. But I also moved away from the Tibetan energies. I did briefly study a bit of Hinduism in that, but I moved into the Japanese energies. Zen and Mikyo Shingon Buddhism, I'm moving into. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm moving into that while still working the Western way a bit. I'm going to be making a series of videos starting out with the path of the wizard as I know it. But I tend to be more the wizard ritualist. There are a lot of people, and I am going to make a video on definitions. And you can say you're nitpicking, but I've seen too many times where people take the same word and they think they have completely different meanings for the word. So what is the purpose of trying to discuss something? If I say the word energy and you having a physics background, you start thinking, well, what kind of energy? Kinetic energy, potential energy, things like that. Or, if we don't, I see the definitions as a way that maybe you don't agree with my definition, but at least if we don't have common ground, you can go, okay, that's what is meant there. It's a way to keep understanding going because it's too easy to just, well, before the internet, people flamed in person. You had a lot of punched noses and all sorts of stuff like that. Nowadays, they just get on the internet and flame. But just if we can have a rough understanding and create an area where we can mutually meet, then we can continue having benevolent, beneficial interactions, and we can transform ourselves and turn around and help others and make the world a better place in the process. Um, I've got a variety of topics now. I don't know. I would like to be able to do some how to, and I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to do it because I have. Well, I decided to use these screens for background so that you can focus better. Because, well, like right now, my cat's asleep, but I'm using obviously my computer. And if I didn't have this up, you'd see all sorts of stuff in the background. And, you know, I've occasionally watched videos where the background was distracting. And maybe I've got a touch of the ADHD. I don't know. I find that things like this help me focus. I'm hoping they're the same for you. But I'd like to show you how to make holy water, how to make your own wizard's black salt. It's the same concept as the others, but I found a more effective way to do it. I'd like to tell you how to colorize and structure water. I'd like to show you how to make your own um, powder so that you can, it's a lot of practical stuff, simple things. So many people, you go to spiritual centers, everyone's using white sage. Well, there's all sorts of other ways to do clearings. The white sage it's a very respectful herb. I have some that was grown in a sacred manner. It was received in a sacred manner and given to me, but I only use it for very special purposes. But there's a wide variety of things you can use, and a lot of them is one of the advantages when you get the basic, shall we say, the universal principles and ideas down, then you can start exploring because it's always useful. I was taught, the family tradition witches in Wisconsin taught me, you have a center. You may have an expression, but you can then go exploring, but you always, you can go to the extremes, but you always come back to center. So I will start the videos soon.